Imagine a world where your every move, thought, and emotion is controlled by a device. Sounds dystopian, doesn't it? Yet it's happening right now, and it's called social media addiction. This isn't some far-fetched fantasy, it's a reality we're living in. The stronghold of social networking sites on our lives is real and staggering. From the moment we wake up to the last blink before sleep, we're hooked. The repercussions are severe, turning us into mere puppets in the hands of digital platforms. So, how does this addiction take root and what does it do to us? Welcome to Data Lab Work Channel, let's delve in. Social media, when consumed in excess, can turn into a dangerous addiction. But how does a harmless scroll turn into an obsession? Let's delve into the psychology behind this. You see, our brains are wired to seek rewards. When we post a picture or a status update and it gets likes, comments, and shares, we feel good. But why is that? Well, it's because of a little chemical in our brains called dopamine. Dopamine is often referred to as the feel-good neurotransmitter. It's released when we experience something pleasurable or rewarding. Every time you get a like, a comment, or a share, your brain releases a tiny hit of dopamine. This dopamine rush is what keeps us coming back for more. It's why we find ourselves reaching for our phones without even thinking about it, hoping for that next reward. Now, this isn't to say that social media is inherently harmful. Like anything else, it's about balance. But the problem arises when the pursuit of these dopamine hits begins to take over our lives. This is when a harmless hobby can morph into an addiction. Renowned psychological experts such as Dr. Larry Rosen have highlighted the addictive potential of social media. According to Dr. Rosen, the dopamine response to social media is similar to other addictive behaviors. The anticipation of a reward, in this case, likes, comments, or shares, triggers a dopamine release. This creates a powerful feedback loop. Post, reward, dopamine hit, repeat. It's important to understand that this doesn't mean everyone who uses social media will become addicted. However, it does highlight the potential dangers of excessive use. After all, it's no coincidence that social media platforms are designed to keep us engaged for as long as possible. The more we use them, the more dopamine our brains release, and the more addicted we can become. Now that we know how this addiction starts, let's see what it does to us. Meet John, a successful entrepreneur, loving husband and father, but John had a secret addiction. John was a man who had it all. He was at the helm of a thriving business, lived in a picturesque home with his loving family, and was admired by many in his community. Yet behind this picture-perfect facade was a man who was deeply entrenched in the world of social media. John's day would begin and end with his smartphone. His morning coffee was accompanied by a flurry of tweets, his lunch was punctuated with casual scrolls through Instagram, and evenings found him lost in the abyss of Facebook. His addiction to social media was a silent invader, slowly consuming his time, energy, and focus. What started as an innocent habit soon spiraled into a detrimental addiction. The incessant need to stay connected and updated had a profound impact on his personal and professional life. His attention to his business waned, his productivity dropped, and his relationships with his family and friends began to strain under the weight of his addiction. John's children often complained about his constant distraction, his wife felt neglected, and his employees noticed his lack of engagement. The more he delved into the virtual world, the more he distanced himself from the real one. His obsession with likes, shares, and comments became a substitute for meaningful, real-life interactions. His health too began to decline. His sleep cycle was disrupted. His eyes would often hurt from the constant exposure to the screen, and his sedentary lifestyle led to weight gain. John's story is a grim testament to the fact that the excessive use of social media can lead to devastating consequences. It's a stark reminder that while social media can be a powerful tool, it can also be a dangerous master. The severity of John's situation is a wake-up call, urging us to monitor our own use of these platforms and to strike a healthy balance between the virtual and real worlds. John's story is a stark reminder of how our lives can be derailed by this addiction. Not convinced yet? Let's look at another case. Meet Emily, a bright student with a promising future, until social media took over. Emily was a scholar, always at the top of her class. She was active in sports, a passionate artist, and a beloved friend. But as she delved deeper into the world of social media, her life took a dramatic turn. It started subtly. Emily would spend a few extra minutes scrolling through her feed, then hours. Before long, she was staying up late into the night, her eyes glued to the glowing screen. As Emily's social media use increased, her academic performance began to decline. The once top-notch student started missing deadlines and her grades slipped. She was no longer the vibrant, energetic girl everyone knew. Instead, she seemed distracted, her mind always elsewhere. The impact of Emily's social media addiction extended beyond academics. She started withdrawing from her friends and stopped participating in her favorite activities. Her sports equipment collected dust, her art supplies remained untouched. The vibrant, outgoing Emily was slowly replaced by a version of her that seemed unfamiliar to those who knew her best. Emily's parents noticed these changes and tried to intervene, but Emily was too far gone. Her world was now confined to the virtual realm of likes, shares, and comments. She became isolated, physically present but mentally lost in the world of social media. This is not just Emily's story, it's a story that is playing out in homes across the globe. It's a story of how a useful tool can become a dangerous addiction. It's a story of how the virtual world can rob us of our real-life experiences and relationships. Emily's story is a stark reminder of the dark side of social media. It shows us how social media, when used excessively, can lead to a decline in academic performance, social withdrawal, and in severe cases, total isolation. Emily's story shows us that no one is immune to the potential dangers of social media addiction. The stories of John and Emily are not isolated cases. Millions around the world are suffering silently. What we're talking about here is a global issue, a silent epidemic that is impacting societies everywhere. Social media addiction is not a condition to be taken lightly. It has profound effects on mental health, relationships, productivity, and overall quality of life. Let's start with mental health. According to psychologists, excessive use of social media can lead to anxiety, depression, loneliness, and lower self-esteem. People are constantly comparing their lives to the highlight reels of others, leading to feelings of inadequacy and discontentment. And what about relationships? Well, they're taking a hit too. Instead of bonding face-to-face, people are increasingly interacting behind screens. This lack of human connection can lead to feelings of isolation, even when surrounded by others. Productivity is another victim of social media addiction. Instead of focusing on tasks and goals, people are spending hours scrolling through feeds, watching videos, or engaging in online debates. This can lead to procrastination, poor performance, and even job loss. And finally, the overall quality of life. Excessive use of social media can lead to sleep disturbances, poor physical health, and even financial troubles. It's a cycle that feeds on itself, creating a downward spiral that can be hard to break free from. These are not just empty claims, studies from reputable institutions back them up. For instance, a study from the University of Pennsylvania found that limiting social media use to 30 minutes a day resulted in significant improvements in well-being. But it's not all doom and gloom, there's a silver lining here. More and more people are becoming aware of the dark side of social media and are taking steps to limit their use. Educational programs are being implemented in schools, and mental health professionals are starting to include social media habits in their assessments. The impact of social media addiction is far-reaching and devastating, but there's hope. So, what can we do to combat this addiction? The answer lies in awareness, moderation, and balance. Firstly, we must acknowledge the power of awareness. Recognizing our own patterns of use, understanding the triggers that lead to excessive scrolling, and realizing the impact it has on our mental and emotional health is the first crucial step towards sustainable change. Secondly, let's talk about moderation. Time management apps can be a great tool to limit our daily social media usage. Set specific tech-free times during your day, maybe during meals or before bed, to disconnect and focus on the world around you. Remember, it's about quality, not quantity. Thirdly, let's strive for balance. Engage in physical activities, pick up a new hobby, read a book, spend time in nature, simply do something that doesn't involve a screen. There are countless resources available for those seeking help. Websites like Time Well Spent and Center for Online Addiction offer valuable advice and support. Finally, let's use the power of social media for good. Share this video, talk about it with your friends and family, start conversations about responsible social media use. The more we talk about it, the more we can normalize a healthier relationship with our screens. Remember, it's not about completely eliminating social media from our lives, but using it wisely and responsibly. Together, we can break free from the chains of addiction. If you have enjoyed the video, kindly hit the like button and subscribe if you have not already subscribed to the channel. If you don't want to miss any updates from us, hit the notification bell. Until next time, stay aware.